Hello! Today we're going to be creating a Dutch door weekly spread, one of my favourite styles of weekly setup. Each day has an individual page within the setup, and there is a weekly dashboard that is visible from each daily page. In order to create this setup in my journal, I'm using our journal project kit, which includes all the supplies needed to decorate your page and create the Dutch door setup. I'll pop all the details in the description below the video. So I'll be using an A5 journal in order to create my setup today. And the first thing I need to do is to create the Dutch door style pages, which is where you basically cut away part of your page in order to be able to always see a visible dashboard. So for a horizontal Dutch door, you're cutting horizontally across the page and the dashboard will run horizontally across that double page spread. If I were doing a vertical Dutch door, I would cut vertically down the page and your dashboard would run vertically down the edge of your spread. You can see that I'm using the guide on the top of our super easy Dutch door stencil to mark out the depth that I will be cutting across the page. And this is to ensure that I'll have enough room for all of the important information that I want to include in my weekly dashboard. With all the pencil lines drawn, I'm going to cut across the lines until I reach the spine of the journal. And remember, I'm not cutting anything away from the book. I'm just cutting horizontally across the page. There are two reasons why I do this. Firstly, because I don't want to damage the spine of the book and have any pages fall out, but also I don't want to cause a big dip in future pages. If I take those three pieces away, then I'm going to get to the next double page and you'll be able to feel a dip where there's pages missing. So what I do instead is I adhere the pieces that I've cut across to the back of the double page spread. So I've stuck two to one side and one to the other side. So you've still got that Dutch door effect, but without removing any paper from your journal. I'm then going to decorate the cut edge of the Dutch door using washi tape, going fully across the double page spread. And that's really to make a feature of the Dutch door, but it also tidies up the cut edge so it's nice and neat and yeah, it looks really tidy. So I've taken the Don't Worry Be Happy washi tape across the double page spread and I'm repeating that on all three pages that I have cut away. Although this is a double page spread for a weekly setup, you can use Dutch doors for so many different things. I've used them in my media journal, I've used them for future logs. I think they're a really versatile type of spread and basically just means that you can do one header or one kind of dashboard area that is going to be referred to constantly and have a lot more space within the spread to include the content that you want to include. So although they can seem a little bit daunting to cut the pages of your journal, I definitely advise that you give it a go because I think you'll definitely be a convert. I know that I use them all the time. So once you've got your washi tape across the page and those edges looking all decorated, it's time for us to add some decorative tabs to mark out the different pages within the Dutch door. To make the tabs, I'm using our tab maker stencil and some coordinating scrapbook paper. These were included within the journal project kit, but of course, if you want to do it with a different theme, you can use any scrapbook paper you like. You could even just use some old dot grid paper from a previous journal or anything that you've cut away. And I'm tracing the tab shape that I want onto the scrapbook paper. And once I've got that, I'm going to cut those out and adhere them to the individual pages. Now on the tab maker stencil, you do have three different shapes of tab and you have three different sizes of tab. So depending on how many tabs you have within your spread or how many internal pages within the Dutch door will depend which tab is going to suit you best. And as I said, I'm just cutting those tabs out using my scissors. And this scrapbook paper is 120 GSM. You don't want it to be too weighty because otherwise, once you've got all of these inside your journal, you're going to end up with quite a chunky addition to the journal. And my top tip for if you're making these tabs is once you've cut the external shape out, fold them in half and then cut away those middle pieces, and that way they will line up perfectly. Once these are all made, it's really just a case of adhering them to your spread, and you can choose to do that. I'm doing it after I've attached that washi tape, really making it a feature of the tab, or you could attach it to the top of the page before you put washi tape across and kind of have the tab poking out from behind the washi tape. Totally works both ways. It really depends on aesthetically which way you prefer. So I've stuck the middle one in first because that's on the middle page to get my positioning right, and then I'm just adding the left and the right one onto the pages afterwards. Just means that I can space them all out evenly. And once they're all in, really that's the structure of the Dutch door set up, and it's just about decoration. So because I've cut across 3 internal pages, it actually creates 4 double page spreads. So we've got enough room for one space for each day of the week, and also a notes page at the back. So what I'm using is the bottom part of our super easy Dutch door stencil in order to create the daily spreads. And they've got a space for our big three for the day. So the 3 things we're focusing on, the rest of your tasks, and then the 3 boxes on the right hand side you can use for meal planning, for gratitude, for events. There's loads of different ways that you could use them. It really depends on how you plan out your daily spread. So the magic of video means that you don't have to watch me do the same thing 7 times. So I'm gonna skip that bit and go to the last page, and I'll be adding in the headers to each of my daily spreads. So I've decided to use a font stencil. This is Blossom, but you could use stickers, or you could just handwrite it. You can add in the date if you wanted. This bit's all about decoration, so it's really your personal preference as to how you want to add in those little tweaks and make the spread yours. So again, the magic of video editing means that you don't have to watch me add in all the headers. I'm gonna jump right in to the last page after this one. And then on the very final page, I'm just adding a notes spread, which will be where I can brainstorm anything or add anything that comes to mind as the week goes on that I don't want in each of the daily spaces. Even though I've edited some parts out of this video so that you don't have to watch me repetitively set up daily spreads, the whole setup I think took me about 30 minutes. So it really isn't a time intensive thing to do. It's a lot of just repeating from a daily point of view, but it does mean that you've got a ton of space over the course of the week. And I think it makes a beautiful setup. It's one that I've used time and time again. So now all of my daily spreads are done. I'm going to decorate the dashboard area, and this is the part of the spread that you can see no matter what day of the week you're on. So I'm adding a header for the month, first of all, again using that Blossom font stencil, and I'm going to colour in that text just to make it stand out from the days and give a little bit of contrast. And what I'll also add into that dashboard is some habit tracking that I'm doing over the course of the week. Again, so that it is visible from every day within the weekly spread. So in terms of habit tracking, you can really go wild depending on what it is that you track individually. I'm adding in a step goal tracker, and that's the little graph. And these are at the top of the super easy Dutch door stencil. So the square space is 7 boxes wide and 5 tall, which means that you can track something for the 7 days of the week. And depending on what you want to track, I'm tracking steps. So I'm adding in a scale up the side, which will be thousands of steps. So I can add in a little cross. So if on Monday I did 6,000 steps, I would do like either a cross and make it a line graph, or I do a bar and make it a bar graph, depending on what you want to do. And you can really see how that goal did numerically across the space of a week. Also work quite nicely for a sleep tracker. And then the little horizontal bars are for trackers for things I either did or didn't do. So skincare, journaling, I've added in, did I drink my water? You could actually use water in the graph section as well, depending on how much water you drank. So there's a couple of different ways to habit track within that super easy stencil. And I've just added in the colour to that header there, and then I'm also going to add in the week number. So this is the first week of January that I'm creating this Dutch door for, so I'm just going to add in week 1, and we're very close to the end of the Dutch door setup. It's really colourful, and all I've used is a washi tape and one koi brush pen for the yellow highlight on each of the daily spread setup. So without using a ton of colouring or scrapbook paper, I've made a really colourful, fun spread. And I think that's why I like this setup. It kind of adds the decoration but also function at the same time. I'm adding a little goal section to that dashboard, which is a place to put the 4 goals for the week. And with that done, it's time to look at the final spread. So each day has its own area. I've got a notes section at the back, and then a really functional dashboard for the space of the week, which runs all the way across the double page spread. And that's our horizontal Dutch door. I hope you've enjoyed that. And if you have, I really hope that you will click subscribe, because it really helps the channel. And we'll see you again very soon.